So we're going to focus on fuel economy. Make sure you follow along. In Canada, guys, in Canada, fuel consumption is stated in liters per 100 kilometers. That's a standard way. Akil, pay attention now, okay? In the States, it's miles per gallon. They're doing it exactly opposite than what we do. They tell you how far you can drive for 1 gallon of fuel. We go how many liters you need to travel 100 kilometers. Okay? Every new car has this somewhere on the window. I don't know if you've seen the cars in the malls. They have this on the window. It tells you how much fuel you're expected to use. Here's the formula for fuel economy. I would strongly suggest you add that to your study sheet. And you have to make sure you express it. It's here one more time, okay? It's one more time down here, just a little different. You got to make sure you answer. When you put in numbers and you do all the computations, you got to make sure you have liters per 100 kilometers at the end. I would add this to my study sheet because a lot of students forget it. They just come up with a number and they just write down the number. You're going to lose half a mark for not having liters per 100 kilometers. Okay? So it's got to be there. Cost to fill your gas tank, you obviously would take the price per liter times the number of liters. However, don't add taxes. It's kind of the weird thing about certain things. Fuel is already taxed heavily. You just don't see it. The price you see at the pump, the province gets a share, the federal government gets a share, everybody gets a share of that price, okay? So don't be adding 1.12 to a gas price if it ever gives you that, okay? Next, another formula. If you need to figure out how many liters you have used, then start with the fuel economy and set it up like this. I will give you a quick example here. Let's say the fuel economy of this car, my car is bad, I have a truck, it's very high, 17.5 liters per 100 kilometers. And I traveled 6,000 kilometers when I did the summer trip, but I'm just going to stick with 5,000 here. How many liters of fuel would I need with this truck? How many? Well, you start with this. Watch this. You're looking up here, right? Fuel economy over 100. That's literally this right here. So you would go 17.5 liters over 100 kilometers. Do you remember cross multiplying and dividing? I'll teach you. I'll teach you. Where would the 5,000 go on the right side of this equation? Bottom, right? You got to match the units. And this X is going to give you the liters. Right now, we're not going to solve it. I'm just going to show you. Pay attention to this one. I always start on the side where the variable is. I will go to the number on that side and then go across. What happens first? Multiply, right? And then you divide by what's left over. So in this particular case, I would go 5,000 times 17.5 divided by 100. So I would need 875 liters with my truck to make that trip. And what is gas right now? $1.30 or something? 34, depends on where you go, of course. So let's multiply that by $1.30. So over $1,000, right, to make this trip. So the fuel economy, I actually used it to budget, like how much money am I expected to spend on gas alone on this trip, right? And it was a lot, especially if you go further west, gas prices actually go up as you get closer to Vancouver. All right, so a bunch of formulas. I would strongly encourage you to have those on your study sheet. Now, I need you to know this, okay? Follow along. A higher fuel economy is a higher cost of driving. The bigger the number, right? The bigger the top number, 17.5. It gets worse than that, by the way. If you have like a really old truck, like those V8s, like from the 70s or 60s, they're like, you almost need to have a gas station attached to those cars. Otherwise, a smaller fuel economy will give you a lower cost of driving, okay? So if you have 16.5 liters per 100 kilometers, and you have a Prius, that's my next dream car. A Prius, cheap on gas. A Prius in the city does about this, 4 liters per 100 kilometers. This one is cheaper, right? Like that's the best fuel economy in this case. If you had to compare them, this is the one you would want to pick, okay? What are some factors? This one they tested students in a variety of ways over the years. But some of the things that affect your fuel economy could be when you drive. Is it rush hour? What happens during rush hour? Your car is not moving, right? You're just idling. You're burning fuel. You're waiting for the red light. You're waiting for the stop sign. The type of terrain. Gravel will use more fuel than a nice smooth surface, right? So the slope of the road, is it mountainous? Is it going up and down? Things like that. How you drive. You know what jackrabbit is? Like, you know, the people, it's usually younger than me for some reason. They come up next to me, and it's red, or it's green, and they just give her, right? And then a block down the road, they're sitting again. And then they go and stop. They go and stop. They're like a jackrabbit. They go fast, they stop. They go fast, they stop. That actually uses more fuel, by the way. Optional equipment you installed, right? It's the weight. If you put in a really heavy bumper, those heavy-duty bumpers, they're hundreds of pounds. You will use more fuel. If you're towing something, you will use more fuel because you're heavier now. The engine has to work harder. Condition of your engine. If you're not making oil changes, that actually affects your fuel economy, right? Condition of the road. Weather condition. I cannot stress the windy in Manitoba, especially. If you go out fishing early in the morning, there's no wind. It's like 4 in the morning. 4 in the morning, Mr. Erickson, I'm never up that early. But anyways, if it's not windy at all, but then when I come back from my fishing trip, it's so windy, my fuel economy goes up like crazy, especially if the wind is coming against my car, right? Is it snowy, right? There's more friction. You can write down the word friction. Friction causes the engine to work harder. Anything that makes the engine work harder or burn more fuel will be resulting in a worse fuel economy, okay? And this is another one. The city fuel economy is different than highway fuel economy. I don't know if it says it there. Oh yeah, it says here. Highway fuel economy is generally smaller than that same vehicle's fuel economy in the city. And why is that? When you go on the highway, do you start and stop a lot? Do you wait in traffic? You're coasting. You're keeping that speed, right? When you're in the city, you stop and go, idling. Right. You're idling, you're doing a lot of, you're wasting gas a lot more. Okay, let's do some math here, because that's what you're really waiting for. Okay, example 1. On page 66. A car is driven for 280.2 kilometers and uses that much fuel. Determine the fuel economy. So distance and liters used. What's the fuel economy of the car? Guess what? They're just asking you to plug in numbers here. Fuel economy is liters over distance. What happened there? Times 100. It's basically what you need to do there. And in this case, we use 26.78 liters over 280.2 kilometers. And you multiply that by 100. And you grab your calculator, divide those two numbers, hit equals, and then multiply that answer by 100. So in this case, how many are we rounding to? 2 decimals. That's the standard. 9.56. So a lot of students just leave it like that. They're like, I'm good enough, right? You're supposed to say liters per 100 kilometers. That's the proper way of stating that answer. How much fuel will you need to drive 1,500 kilometers? I'm not asking for the fuel economy, I already know it. Okay, fuel economy is known at this point. That's important. So you start like that. Fuel economy over 100 is equal to liters over distance. So the fuel economy is what for us? It's 9.56, correct? And what are they asking us? How much fuel? That means that we're trying to figure out how many liters. And the distance we're driving is 1,500 kilometers. Again, every teacher has taught us a little differently. It's time to give you the shortcut. You go to the side where the variable is, start with the number, you multiply, and then you end up dividing by what's left over. That's not work though. This would not be showing work. This is just giving you a heads up. This is how you show your work. You take the 1,500, you show me that you're going to multiply it by 9.56. And last, you're going to divide by 100. So, by the way, when you have a fraction and there's a number underneath, it's dividing whatever you get on top. So, grab your calculators and try this out. So, in this case, it's 143.4 liters. C. What distance could you travel on a full tank with 70 liters in it? Guess what? You're going to do this again. Once you have the fuel economy, it comes down to this formula right here. You're going to put liters and distance. What is the fuel economy in this case? 9.56 over 100. Do we know the liters in this case? Yeah, the 70 liters is what we know is in the tank. We know that's what's in the tank. Yeah. And in this case, it's the distance that we need to figure out. Like, how far could someone drive with 70 liters in the tank? And how do you go about this one? The variable is on the right side. You start with the number. So now you're going to cross multiply this way. And you're going to divide by the number that is left over. So show me the work, right? 70 times 100 divided by 9.56. And you just multiply the top and divide it by what's at the bottom. So it's 732.22 kilometers. So we use the fuel economy to either figure out how many liters would I need to travel a certain distance, or we used it to figure out if I have a full tank of 70 liters, how far would that get me, right? So I would actually be able to travel that far. All right, I want you to try example 2 here real quick. Without talking, just don't go anywhere, just try this one right now. Example 2, it's asking you for the fuel economy, so you have to figure out what it was. You have to figure out how many liters did you use, and what distance did you travel, and then multiply that by 100. Okay. How do you? Yeah. What's the trick here, guys? It says when she filled her odometer, like the thing that tells you how many kilometers this car has driven is this. And then at the end, when the red light came on, it showed this. How would we figure out the distance that was traveled between these two readings? Subtract them, yes. You have to do this on the side somewhere to figure out your distance traveled. And I put the 0 in front on purpose to throw you off a little bit. Would we worry about the 0 in front? Newer cars have that, right? So you just ignore the zeros. It's really 20,000 and 21,000, right? So try to figure it out. If you want, if you can do example 3 and 4 as well, go for it. Is that what you get? If you have an older car, this is kind of what you have to do to figure out your fuel economy. That's just it. And I'll tell you this, the online fuel economies, they're all liars, okay? It works on a perfect scenario where you're just driving in a circle and maybe like a track or something. As soon as you're in the city and you're stopping and going, it's off. It's usually more, unfortunately. So you got to go on Reddit or something. Like, what is it actually, right? Okay, another one. Go ahead, Crisanto, go ahead. What's the cost of fuel in this case? Do we know the liters? We don't have to figure it out, right? We were told 45 liters. Just multiply it by the cost. You don't have to have the per liter in the calculations. That's fine like that. And just multiply them. And that ends up being 54.41. Here we go, times 1.12. In fact, I would be shocked if they would ever say after tax on the question itself, because that would be deceiving, right? You'd be like, wait a minute, right? So just don't worry about it. Just like depreciation, you don't have to worry about taxes. When it comes to depreciation, you just do the calculations and that's fine. I'm going to ask you to, we're going to skip 67. On your study sheet, I'm just going to ask you to have a few operating costs. Okay? You need to know a few. So I'm just listing a few there. I could talk hours about all of these, but I have a feeling that you're not going to appreciate that. Right? You wouldn't appreciate it, I agree. So I'm just like pick 3 or 4 from these and have them on your study sheet. Just say these are operating costs, because sometimes the province says other than fuel and oil changes, what are some operating costs? So you can't pick those 2. Tire rotation, that's the only one I'm going to talk about. This is what I do. I do my own tire rotation, but a lot of shops offer this for free if you get an oil change or something, like a promotion. So what I do is, if this is the front and this is the rear, I take these ones to the back and I crisscross the ones that were in the back. I put them, like I cross them like that, and then every year I do that. And that ensures that they're going to be all over the place. They're not always in the same spot. That's a tire rotation. But you don't need to really know that. You just need to know that tire rotation is one of those. I just replaced my battery. It's like $150 because my wife's car was having issues. So come winter, I don't want to have to worry about the car not starting. So I had to get a new battery. That's an operating cost. Okay. So wiper replacements, I always do that. I think that's it. And it's also preventative maintenance at the same time. Can you highlight that? So just so you can say that you've heard me. Preventative maintenance, right? Like, why do you do oil changes on a regular basis? Why would you do that? To prevent your engine from corroding or wearing out unevenly, because then you have a major problem. Now you're looking at thousands of dollars. Just do your oil change, guys. You can do it yourselves even if you look it up on YouTube. So I'm going to leave you with this. What time is it? Yeah. So fuel economy worksheet, pages 69 all the way to, this literally goes as long as you want it to be. So I'm just going to go 74, knowing that you're probably not going to do everything all the way to 74. But please do at least this first page. Get a good grip on fuel economy. You don't have to do the table, to be honest. You don't have to do this table. Just do the word problems. It's probably more like what you can expect. And this is one last thing, okay? I'm going to ask you to do this. Watch insurance video. And I'm going to make you a promise. It's going to be difficult. I'm going to try to keep it under, like, maximum 15 minutes. So all I'm going to ask you to do is 15 minutes of your time. You're going to have to add something to your study sheet. You're going to need to know a few terms that are very important. And I'll try my best to keep it at 15 so I'm not spending too much of your time on it. That's it. I'm going to pause the video there.